Hello and welcome to Retro Breeze. Today, October 22nd, 2022, AYN did a comprehensive Q&A regarding the AYN Loki on their Discord server. I have shared some thoughts about the Loki situation previously in the RH Weekly over on the Retro Handhelds channel, so go and check that out if you haven't already. In the meantime, I've compiled all of the questions and answers from this Q&A and sorted them into sections, and I'm going to present all of that information to you here in this video. Now video is kind of a loose term because I'm not really sure what I'm going to put on the background. Maybe just listen to this one, you don't really need to pay attention to what's on screen, because there's nothing tangible to show yet. So let's dive right in. Oh, and one more thing before I do. I've kept these questions and answers as intact as I possibly can. All I've done is move them around, shuffled them into sections. I'm going to keep the actual questions and the actual answers as accurate as they were asked as possible. So let's dive right in. I'll also be sharing my thoughts and opinions on each question as we go. So, the first section here is communication, and the question is, why hasn't there been any information for months about pre-orders? Excellent question. AYN's reply, first, I am sorry that we can't make every small steps visible for all the people who pre-ordered Loki. In my mind, I think the only progress at milestone level should be marked as a decent progress. But Nicole told me we are losing people's trust since too many users feel anxious without any good news feeding. I have to admit, our competitor did a better job than us, especially on marketing and communication. We are more serious on Loki's design, and since we are monitored by too many competitors around, I have to keep the design ideas confidential until it is safe to reveal them. Just as I mentioned above, we have kept answering emails and all kind of design recommendations, and learning all kind of stuff from existing comments and reviews from existing models. AYN seems too slow in some people's minds, but we are not a stupid company, but with full attention on product innovation and customers' advice and suggestions. I will try to do one QA every 2 to 3 weeks from now on. Alright, so that's a really good question and a pretty good answer as well. I definitely understand where AYN are coming from with this, in that they don't want especially their ideas stolen by other companies, which is really common in China actually. However, I also agree that they have really misstepped with the communication. 4 months with absolutely nothing is really bad, and I think even worse than that is that we just haven't really known what's going on with the Loki at all, and so many people are cancelling because of the lack of information. A QA every 2 to 3 weeks is a great idea. Just keep people notified, just keep people in the loop so that we kind of know what you're doing. Next question. What would you say to someone on the fence about cancelling their pre-order for a similar product from a competitor? Why should someone choose a Loki over competing handhelds which are shipping this year? And the answer from AYN, I don't want people to think that Loki is a scam for collecting money. It's a fair worry. That is why I didn't choose Indiegogo, but a pre-order on Shopify. Your money is safe because PayPal won't release the money until the shipment happens. I have nothing to say to the people who are on the fence about cancelling their pre-order, since it was people's free choice. But I want to say thanks to the people who kept their faith trusting AYN. Except for the affordable price-wise, we care about every technical detail, and the Loki's embedded DisplayPort to mobile industry processor interface is a typical example. So the safe money, the price, the efforts on detail, aspects of specifications, the continuous listening to customers' voice, the honest attitude on technology, any of the items listed above should be a reason why people wait for the Loki. Alright, so I get what they're saying here, but I think there is an elephant in the room, which is just that so many other devices are launching as well. I really love the Odin, and I think that the Odin is my favorite handheld ever made, and spoilers, I actually like it more than the Steam Deck now that I have both. But this is all promises, you know, this is basically hot air, and I'm not accusing them of blowing hot air. I'm just saying that we really need something tangible, and it's been a really long time, and there are so many competitors now actually getting their products into people's hands. I don't disagree that the Loki might be amazing and that this may be the company to do it, because the Odin was that good right out of the gate. Their first product was that good. So, I don't know. I guess I get what they're saying, and I agree somewhat. That's basically my opinion on that. Next question. Are you considering adding 4PX shipping to more products aside from the Loki Zero? Also, can Andy sign my Loki? Thank you for your suggestion. We will consider adding 4PX for more products soon. And yes, it will be Andy's pleasure and his great honor to sign the Loki. Wow, so if you want your Loki signed by the CEO, I think that's who Andy is, then you should go ahead and ask. So this moves us on to the next section, the status and shipment information on the various Loki models. First question, do you have a working prototype of the Loki that can be shown? Are any of the Lokis on track to be delivered this year? And the answer is, long story short, we should be ready to show a working prototype of Loki Max by the end of this month. Now we are still working on the EDP to MyPy bridge. We picked a converter chip which has perfect power efficiency compared with competitors' converter chips, but this chip has known issues interfacing with the AMD 6800U when fetching EDID over EDP aux channel. I'm not going to pretend I know what that means. So we need an extra frame programmable gate array with a super small footprint and a super low power consumption to fix the issue. This is why we're quiet during the last 2 weeks. Now it is still too difficult to say we are able to ship Loki within this Q4, but I think we can have a more realistic answer after we finalize the screen issues. If AYN right now is defined by one thing, it's probably display issues, if not shipping issues, and delays and long shipping times. So this is what we all thought, right? There was no way this product was going to launch Q4 this year. There was never any way. I'm glad that they're at least coming clean about that now. I hope that they keep up on this and keep the progress going. If the Loki Max launches Q1 2023, I don't think that's a huge miss, but I mean, it's still disappointing. It is disappointing. If that time frame for release was not possible, then they should never have had that time frame. And the other issue here is, again, this is not an Indiegogo campaign. So, I don't know. I think it's pretty obvious. I think that them working hard to make a better product is good, but they gotta be speedy about it. So next question. I just want a general ship date for the Loki Max. The Odin Pro was well worth the wait, agreed. So I assume that the Loki Max will be as well. And the answer is, AYN's team are too stressful and too careful about the specs of the SKUs in the Loki family. I think basically it was the old Odin users who backed us again with Loki. I think that's true as well. But in the Windows gaming handheld market, we have too many competitors here in China, and as everyone knows, AOK Zoe started shipping months ago. So now the first goal for Loki is not to create the earliest shipping time, but still to create the best quality and the best customer satisfaction. The estimated shipping time is Q1 of 2023. Okay, so yeah, I think that this is a decent perspective here, is that, well, we're not the first out of the gate, so let's make sure our product is the best. I respect that, so hopefully they can pull it off. Again, Q1 2023, I have to admit I'm still skeptical about that, but if they can pull that off, that's great. Next question, is the Loki bag design finalized, and if so, can it be shown? And the answer was, no, not recently. The bag design is an easy and quick task and process. So this is talking about the free bag that came with all Loki pre-orders. Looks pretty cool on the website, but as we know now, everything on the website is basically train smoke. Anyway, next question, can we expect the Loki Max to be delivered this year? The answer was unfortunately nope. New estimated shipping date is 2023 Q1. But they said roughly this time. Next question. What is going to be included with the Loki Max? If the Loki Max is not complete, what is left to be done for it to be complete and ready to ship? The answer, the biggest challenge right now is still going to be the way to bring up the MIPI screen. We have a mature solution on our hand which has over 600 megawatts power consumption, which has blocked us to try. The high power consumption EDP to MIPI bridge will be our last safe choice. But however, it is still too early to give up on our current solution, which only requires 130 megawatts. I think that's megawatts, or is it milliwatts? I don't know. And this solution just has the last issue waiting to be fixed by a small frame programmable gate array. The power consumption of the current EDP to MIPI solution sounds too good and decent, and I hope that people can hold their breath to wait for our good news next week. For me, to choose the old safe solution is the way to make people happy. It seems too stupid to take weeks long waiting for bringing up a new solution, but I hope the final power consumption of Loki can get around 500 megawatts. It has to be milliwatts, right? I don't know, just troll me in the comments. 500 megawatts lower than the other competitors. It was my dream to control the overall power consumption as possible as we can, so I need everybody's patience here. So, one issue with Windows or PC gaming handhelds, including the Steam Deck of course, is battery life. So I understand the desire to make a better solution that is more power efficient. We'll see how that goes. I do kind of agree that I agree in principle that it's best to stick with an idea that you think will overall make the product better, rather than going with a already existing but less efficient product. So that's fine. Next question. But when will be the release date of low-end SKUs like the Loki Zero and the Loki Mini? And the answer was, the DVT board of the Loki Zero is ready, but it has the same problem interface with the MIPI screen. It requires an external EDP to MIPI bridge solution as well, so the release date of the Loki Zero should be quite close to the Loki Max. But Loki Mini used Mendocino, which was announced on this October, so the Loki Mini should be released 2 months later than the Loki Max. So again, we all kind of knew that these were never going to launch like 100 SKUs all in one day. So yeah, it looks like some of the models are going to be pushed back further than others. The next question was, any info at all on the Mini and Mini Pro or the other Loki models? Great to get some max info, but there are other devices people are waiting on info about too. And I definitely understand this question because there's been nothing for anything other than the Zero and the Max. But the answer was, of course, refer to the previous question. Next question. Is the manufacturing process going to run smoothly for Loki after what you have learned for the Odin? Good question. The answer is, haha, this is a fantastic question. Yeah, actually we are trying our best to cooperate with big assembling factories with very decent productivity and very good quality management flow, and actually have 3 candidates and each of them have around 500 workers and more than 20 assembling lines and stable amount of employees and excellent management team. Well, that's good news because it seems like production management was one of the hiccups on the Odin, so I'm glad that they're addressing it. And if they're not even at the production stage now, it means they're addressing it early, which is a good thing. Next question. I want to know, what is the release date for the Loki Mini Pro Intel model? When is the release date? And the answer is the beginning of Q2 again. Next question. So the Loki Zero would also be released in the same release window as the Loki Max, and the answer was yes, should be very close. And what about the regular Loki? Same time frame as the Loki Max. So it looks like they have basically 3 models coming out at the same time and everything else will be pushed back. Alright, so the next section is the design of the Loki. First question, what are the dimensions of the Loki? And the answer, since we changed to the biggest joystick, more space on the controller is required. The width will increase and we will release the new ID of Loki when we can have a working prototype, which is supposed to be ready at the end of this month. I do have thoughts on this, but I'm going to get through a couple more questions before I show those. Next question, what is the estimated weight of the Loki? The answer was, I can only give a rough answer here, but it should be around 600 grams. Next question, how are the ergonomics for the Loki? The answer, right now, Loki will still have grips similar to the Odin and a more outstanding design for ergonomics. Loki is a quite different product with significantly higher power consumption and a way much bigger battery, which makes the ergonomics more challenging compared with the Odin. Except for the grips, Loki will have colored LEDs, that's RGB, and better joysticks, as well as better L1, R1, and analog shoulder buttons. In a single word, Loki will be designed to be control-friendly with better ergonomics. Next question, how much bigger than the Odin is the device going to be, or rather wider? The answer, it will be wider for giving room to the big joysticks with good enough travel. Next question, are all the design aesthetics of all SKUs similar, or do they have differences and particularities from each other? Has the design changed a lot from the ones shown on AYN's website, or are they still the same? And the answer was not the same as the ones we showed on the website, and we will reveal the design once the screen issue is fixed, maybe in the middle of November. So at this point, I want to address all of this, because this to me is a little bit disappointing. The original trailer for the Loki, which I'll have on screen, literally had the Odin turning into the Loki. And my original thought of that was, oh my god, a super powerful Windows PC in the exact form factor of the Odin. And I love the Odin so much, that was a big reason why I pre-ordered. Now this to me, I get there might be a need to update it, but this confirms my suspicion, in my opinion, that Loki did not exist when this went out for pre-order, and everything we've seen as far as renders and stuff on the website are just train smoke. Again, it's nothing. We have no idea what it's going to look like, we have no idea how big it's going to be, or anything like that. And this is really disappointing to me because I was really looking for a device that would look exactly like the Odin but be really powerful. Now maybe that's unrealistic and that's fine, but that is what was basically sold here. So I think that this is a little concerning to me because it really drives home the point that I have no idea what I pre-ordered, right? No idea whatsoever. So I hope that they will show this sooner rather than later and in extreme detail, because I think it's going to be really important to a lot of people. They said earlier, in an earlier question, they think that it was Odin backers who purchased the Loki. I don't want to say backed the Loki, I want to say purchased the Loki. And that's correct. And I think a big part of that was that this was supposed to be just like the Odin but a gaming PC. So I'm a little bit iffy on this. I don't know. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth, honestly. Next question in this section. USB 4.0 20 gig is working fine as you guys mentioned, but is 40 gig the goal? And the answer is yes, 40 gig is my dream and also the dream of the AMD support team. Cool, good stuff. Next question. But all these gaming handhelds don't have USB-A type port, and those come truly in handy when doing any software installation or porting data. Would there be consideration for adding a USB-A port on the Loki? Or perhaps on one model that can fit like the thicker models? Even the Steam Deck has no USB-A port, and that thing has too much real estate to not have one. And the answer, which is the absolute correct answer, why not consider a Type-C to USB-A adapter? Please do not put USB-A on the Loki. Do not put USB-A on anything anymore. It is done. It is over with. Maybe include an adapter in the box, sure. What a waste, really, what a waste. I think that's a terrible idea. However, an additional USB-C port, yeah, sure, I'll take that. Maybe one on the top and one on the bottom. Anyway, next question. I would like to know how many accessibility buttons there will be on the final Loki device. AYN has 2 buttons on the front shell for TDB control via ISpace and return to desktop, and 2 on the top besides the shoulder buttons, which act in 2 ways. Pressing it once, on-screen keyboard and escape, and holding it for a few seconds, task manager and application overview, which gives us a total of 6 action buttons, and they can be customized in the ISpace app. That's awesome, I didn't know that. I can see 3 buttons on the mock-up from your website, 1 home button on the front and the 2 on the back like the Odin. Are there changes and can they be customized via your own app? And the answer is, we will have 2 accessibility buttons on the front shell and 2 on the back. The functions are software defined. These 4 buttons have wired connections to the EC, or the BIOS management. Interesting, so it will have these hotkeys, but we'll have to see what they look like and where they're positioned. Alright, so that brings us on to the next section, section 4, battery and thermals. The first question, any chance for a replaceable battery pack designed similar to the Sony PSP, and playable when having wired charging without battery? In that edge case use, we can get a better ergo from the lighter weight without the battery. And the answer is, yeah, the current board doesn't have this consideration for power the device, using wired charging without a battery. But I think it is a very nice idea and we will consider your request. I need to check with our engineer, thanks so much. I think this is like a decent question. I mean, everybody likes a removable battery, but I think a removable battery would really hamper the aesthetics and ergonomics. I don't know, I have no particular passion either way. Next question. Hi Nicole, if the wattage is 28 to 30 watts, what is that going to mean for the battery life? Seems quite high. And the answer is, it means how many watts the cooling system can handle for the 6800's TDP. The next question from the same person, I understand, but what's it going to mean for real world battery life? Under 2 hours? And the answer was, that depends on the TDP you are working with. Literally speaking, for a 45 watt hour battery, if you're working with a 15 watt TDP, you're likely to have 2 hours as the battery life. And the next question, will the battery life be more than 2 hours for the Mini Pro Intel and lower devices? The answer, I think for Mini Pro AMD it should be better, but for the Mini Pro Intel, since it was the same 15 watt TDP device, I think the battery life advantage won't be that big. So these questions are pretty much what I expected. I think that we're going to be stuck on this 2 hour battery life for handheld PCs until there's new battery technology. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's exactly what I expected. I don't expect the Loki to have incredible battery life. Alright, so the next section is specification. First question, can you share any information on the change to the joysticks? The answer, we changed the joysticks to be the biggest size and travel after we got plenty of user suggestion emails. So I guess these won't use the tiny 8 sticks on the Odin and the Retroid Pocket 3. This kind of links in with what I was saying before. Maybe this will end up being a good thing, sure, but it means that what we were sold was not correct. But anyway, next question. I don't know if it has already been answered, but since you use Hall sensor analog triggers according to the website, will the 2 joysticks also be Hall sensor technology? It's only mentioned for the shoulder buttons. And the answer, yes, the 2 joysticks are swappable to be Hall, base or not. We have both components for people, don't worry. So I wonder if this will be something we get the choice of, like receiving a Loki with the Hall sensing analog sticks, or without, or whether they'll just include them packaged in like they did with the Retroid Pocket 3. Oh shoot, I'm not allowed to say that. Like Retroid did with the Retroid Pocket 3. Next question, how big are the new Hall Effect joystick sticks in comparison to the old joysticks? And the answer, the new Hall Effect joysticks are much bigger than the old Switch style joysticks. It is basically the same size as the joystick of big existing gamepads. That's a big deal. This brings it in line basically with the Steam Deck, which has these really huge full analog sticks. Again, I am not sure I like that. I think I really love the Steam Deck, but the Steam Deck is a unique creature, and I don't necessarily want the Loki to be like that. So I know people didn't like the small sticks in the Odin, so maybe an upgrade is good, but I don't know, that sounds like this is going to be aesthetically totally different from what they showed on the website. Next question, what's the memory timings on the chosen DDR5 modules? And the answer, the newest LPDDR5 at 64 megatransfers a second. If you need further detailed timing spec, you can email us for the component datasheet. Interesting they're willing to share that. Next question, will this EDP to FPGA to MyPi bridge to MyPi add latency? Good question. The answer is no, it won't add latency that noticeable, just add latency in the US level. less than 1 milliseconds literally. Not exactly sure what that means. I hope there is no latency, because as far as I can tell, a lot of people are really sensitive to control latency. It's never bothered me, but it would be a shame. Next question. Will the device come with a tuned ICC profile for the screen? That's a basically color profile. And the answer, I'm not sure whether the EDID has a separate section for ICC profile. If yes, then the answer is yes, but I need to check with our engineer. Alright. Next question. Any further information on the screen? For example, how many nits? Is it 6 inch and 60 Hz? And the answer is Full HD, 1080 by 1920, low power consumption, TDDI, 5.9 inch, and exactly 60 Hz working in MyPy mode. So the exactly 60 Hz is the key here, because you might know that on the original Odins, the screen was around 61 Hz. Thankfully, this never bothered me, but I know it bothered a lot of people, so it's good that they're working to keep it at 60. Next question. Can we have some specs for the audio? And the answer is, at this point, what I can tell is we will have better audio than the Odin, since the room for the speaker is way larger. Fair enough, Steam Deck's the one to beat, do it. Next question. Will it void the warranty replacing the original SSD? And the answer is, no if you follow our instructions and keep loving AYN. Aww, nice and threatening. So the next section here is software. First question. Will the Loki use Windows 10 or 11? The answer is it will come with Windows 11 as the default. There was another question about it being activated, and they said yes, it will be OEM activated. Next question, will we have a control center to control the lights, TDP, fans, etc.? And the answer is yes, of course. Good stuff. Next question is more or less the same. What about software? Is AYN developing anything to control TDP, fan power, and other stuff? The answer is, sure, we will have an app come with the device for controlling all device peripherals and TDP. Now this next question and answer is a big one, so pay attention. Question, any chance of having SteamOS support at launch? The answer, sure, AYN will be the partner of SteamOS. This is great news, really, really great news, and if it's true, that is just brilliant. If they have SteamOS out of the box as an option, that's great. Especially for somebody like me. Fun fact, I despise Windows, I don't use it at all anymore, and the option to have a Linux distribution with drivers and everything already good to go, that's perfect, so I'm happy to hear that. Next question, does that mean that all the TDP controls, etc. will work in SteamOS? And the answer is yes. Good stuff. Next question. Can we have 40 Hz and 50 Hz refresh rate options along with 60 Hz? 40 Hz is a good compromise for heavy AAA PC games, 50 Hz is useful for emulating PAL retro games. And the answer, happily, is yes. We will actually have 6 candidate EDP timings defined in the EDID table. We got the suggestion for enabling 40 Hz refresh rate for heavy AAA games from email discussion. That's great. It's one of my favorite features of the Steam Deck is knocking it down to 40 Hz and just extending the battery life. Things still look great, and on a hardware level, that's great news. I'm really happy they're doing that. And it does show that AYN does listen to their customers, unless you're asking like what's going on, in which case they won't answer. But when you give them feedback and give them ideas, they're very receptive to that. That is a strength of the company, as long as they deliver. Alright, last section here, which is AYN's future and miscellaneous stuff. So, the first question. Taki Udon told Brazilians that at one point AYN was thinking of offering an upgrade from the AMD 3050E to a Ryzen 3 3200U for the Loki Zero model, and that this upgrade would cost between $30 and $40. Is that correct? And the answer is yes, that is still possible. Since the 3200U is a pin-to-pin compatible with the 3050E, the final decision depends on the minimum order quantity. That is to say, if we get enough people, around 500, who like the 3200U upgrade, this will happen. So again, if you want it, you better get it. Next question. Can we ever expect an AYN HyperDock, a dock meant for the Loki that is connected to an eGPU? Good question. We don't have plan on HyperDock with eGPU enabled. It is a super power hungry device and full of design challenges, and I think a third-party HyperDock might be ready to go on the market next year under well-known brands. Good, that's a good response. In case you don't know, they've already confirmed that the Loki does support eGPUs. They're basically external GPUs. And I just don't want them to waste their time on a dock. I think they're absolutely right, there is going to be third-party solutions available, so why bother? Yeah, and I don't know, that sounds kind of cynical when I say it out loud, but I would much rather they focus on the Loki itself and make it compatible with third-party accessories. Next question. Can we have adapters to fit the Loki Max in the Odin dock by removing the front acrylic panel? I already did that on mine, by the way. Answer. It seems to be a creative idea, but since the speed of Type-C will be limited, I don't know whether people's mind the speed loss or not. And if not, this idea should be a great idea and it's worth a try. Yeah, I guess that's fine. I mean, the super dock is okay at best. I mean, it's not amazing, but I use it for charging my Odin and nothing else. I wouldn't mind if the Loki worked with it, and you got some GameCube controllers, might be more relevant with really good GameCube gameplay, so yeah, why not? Next question. What are the colors of the vinyl skins for the Loki? What are the estimated amount of Loki units that will be sent? So when you order a Loki on the website, you get a free vinyl skin, so that's what this is about. Answer. We will vote the favorite colors for the vinyl skins for Loki, and since the minimum order quantity for a specific color isn't very high, the cost will be very limited. So we will create vinyl skins for high demanding colors basically for as many colors as they can, that's what they're saying. Fine, why not? Next question. Love it or hate it, how much input has Taki Udon had on the Loki? And the answer was he gave us a lot of input, and over 90% of his complaints and suggestions were well accepted. I think that's a great thing. I think it's great. Next question. I know all of your current devices have 6-inch screen, or 5.9 for that matter. Do you plan on larger screens for future devices, especially for Windows handhelds? And the answer is this. I think it depends on 2 factors for us to consider a wider screen. 1, if people love it, and 2, the screen is decent enough, especially with good specs and features. So yeah, that's a good answer. I love the size of the Odin, which is why I'm so kind of skeptical of making the Loki bigger, but if they make devices with bigger screens, that's fine, whatever. So there's one more question, and this is one that I asked personally. Will AYN pursue more Android handhelds in the future, like an Odin sequel? Or are you firmly moving to mini PCs, and by that I meant handheld PCs, sorry. What's the general vision for the future of AYN products? And their answer, I hope AYN can shine like a superstar in Android handhelds. And actually, for the consideration of the Odin sequel, we will give some amazing surprise to our supported users. We will not choose outdated processors, but maybe the most modern technology from Qualcomm, and we don't have a plan to move to mini PCs, that's because I said that instead of portable PCs. Since now we have had a good user base of Android handhelds, and maybe a good user base of Windows handhelds, we won't stop on mid-end product, but a higher end product tier should be targeted. Both Steve Jobs and Apple are my learning example. I hope we can be the Apple in this niche market one day in the future. So did they just soft confirm a new Odin with a top of the line Qualcomm processor? If that's how you read it like I did, that is amazing. I'm so excited. I think this portable PC thing is really cool, but I still think that the best experience is always going to be, well, for emulation, for retro gaming, is always going to be in the, I don't necessarily want to say Android handhelds, but I think Android is better suited to that. And a top-of-the-line processor from Qualcomm in a Odin handheld, especially if they keep the design more or less the same, brilliant. I'm so excited about that. However, the Apple comment, no, don't be like Apple. I don't want to pay $1,500 for a $600 computer. Anyway, that's besides the point. That wraps up this video. So, there was a lot going on with the Loki, but also not that much tangibly. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Do you have a Loki on pre-order? Are you looking forward to it or not? Do let me know. I am still skeptical about a lot of things, but I at least appreciate the communication. I do hope that AYN will continue this trend of Q&As, of dropping information, and I hope they stick to their promise of showing us a prototype mid-November. So, that's it. Please leave a like on this video and a comment, and subscribe to my channel for more information. If you're from AYN and you're watching this, please send me a prototype Loki unit to check out. That was kind of a joke, but also like not. And in the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.